Hello and welcome to Moving Forward. I'm your host, Ellen Copy, and today we are talking about the organization Hope Always Lives On, or HALO, and we have the president of the group with us, Sharon Deitrick. Thanks so much for coming. So can you first start by telling us what HALO is?
HALO is a foundation. It's actually a 501c3, and it was formed actually for several years prior to us becoming a 501c3. We were doing nonprofit work, a lot of charity work, all volunteer, 100% volunteer. And our focus is to use the energy of youth and the wisdom of senior citizens, bringing them together to respond to crises throughout the nation when possible.
What goals does HALO have to do? Well,
right now specifically, I would say one of the number one goals is a program we have started, which is called 93 Cents for Flight 93. And I have been personally involved with Flight 93 since a few months after the crash, helping with the first anniversary and then later the task force. And in 2007, I was nominated to be a part of the national campaign for Flight 93. And each one of us, 8 people on the campaign, were asked to come up with an initiative to help raise the funds to build the memorial. After pondering that, my decision was to, again, use the best of what we have with the HALO Foundation, and that is our intergenerational approach, students and senior citizens. And our quest right now is to help build a memorial. Of the 4 sites of 9/11, only one is not paid for, and that's Flight 93. So it is our goal to have children, seniors, everyone be able to first understand what happened on that flight, and second, be able to donate at least 93 cents.
So what is your current position?
The current position with the building of the memorial is we are still 10 million short of what we needed to raise. The entire memorial was $62 million. The government was paying half, and the private sector, through our National Steering Committee, was responsible for the other half. And to date, we are still shy about 10 million.
What's your role in the group and in charge of all this?
My role is, well, again, the national campaign, each one of us had an initiative to take, and my initiative was to work with the youth across America, students and seniors, and that was primarily first to educate. I was absolutely passionate about education being a part of this because I've yet to find one history book in any state that gives more than one sentence about what happened on Flight 93. And it states, and a plane crashed in the field of Pennsylvania, period. So my first mission is to get into schools, explain what took place, what 40 ordinary people did with extraordinary courage that day that changed the course of the events of that day and won the first battle against terrorism on 9/11, fought by 40 citizen soldiers on Flight 93.
So how did the event originally come together? The Flight 93. The 93 cents for Flight 93.
Oh, the Flight 93. When in October of 2007, I sat in a leadership conference in San Antonio, Texas, with the National Steering Committee, and these are some very major people in the United States. All of them have been on covers of magazines except myself. I actually sometimes tell people I think it was God's sense of humor why somebody from Akron, Ohio is amongst these giants. But the reason I was asked to be a part of it is because of the little grassroots that we started on the first anniversary. We raised all the money for the first anniversary, which was over $1 million. We did that in less than 6 months. We had never done fundraising. I have a design firm downtown Akron, but I knew the townsfolk of Somerset. I got to meet the families, and once I started understanding the story of Flight 93, I came back and rallied friends and community folks.
Got people involved.
And it was all grassroots. There was nobody famous in our group. These were firefighters, friends, teachers, students, kids, retired folks, and they all rallied together to help me do this. And we designed a medallion that we sold for $25 a piece, and all 100% of the money went directly to the site. And I never knew how much we raised until that meeting in October of 2007 when they said I surpassed $1 million. And so that's why I was there that day.
Yes.
And so when they asked, what kind of initiative will you take in raising the monies that we need, I said it's very clear. I'll do the way I've always done it, the grassroots. And I said to these fine, upstanding people in the group, I don't have friends like all of you in the room that I could go and ask for a $500,000 check. But I do know that one thing that I could promise you is that every penny we raise, the person that gives it will know the story and will give it as a portion of a sacrifice to honor these people. And I could tell you that, that everywhere, every school I get into, every senior group I get into, they will know the story, and they will be able to someday come to the site, bring their children, grandchildren, and say, I helped build this, and let me tell you why.
Well, yes. Well, we actually had a chance to go to your event, the 93 cents for Flight 93. So let's take a look at that.
Well, we learned soon after 9/11, we became aware that this idea of 93 cents for Flight 93 with a special kind of outreach to the youth, really on a couple of fronts. Number one, to give them a chance to participate in seeing the memorial done, and also, very importantly, for young people to learn about what happened that day.
Sharon and I had been friends through our business relationship. That she does a lot of work for FedEx, a lot of great work for FedEx. We decided to partner with her in this cause when she explained how we're trying to educate the children, because the children have to understand what happened. I would like to see not a snippet or not a paragraph. I would like to see the entire story in every single textbook in this country.
Well, this event this evening, of course, is a community outreach to continue to communicate about this wonderful memorial and the need to see it complete. And it's also a great opportunity for Peggy, my wife, Todd's mom, and I to say thank you.
It's as important as the Civil War. It's as important as the Revolutionary War. It's as important as Vietnam. It's as important as Desert Storm, because this was the first response to terrorism on our soil.
I'm an American citizen, and I support indeed what the Halo Foundation is doing. And clearly, I think the Flight 93 National Memorial is a wonderful idea, and it's certainly an appropriate thing to do.
Well, as we saw in the story, there's a lot of emphasis on the children learning about these events. What are you kind of doing to help them learn?
Excellent question, thank you. The first revelation, quite frankly, for me was going into schools, and the first question I always ask are, how many planes crashed on 9/11, 2001? And I would say that 80% of students would say 2, and probably another 15% would say 3. Few knew the 4th plane. And that was when I said, you know, we have to do more than talk. So the first effort we did in 2008 is we had a group of high school students develop a graphic novel that would be able to be passed on to middle school students. And it was done very, very successfully with young audiences and their artworks program. This past year, this entire past year, school year of 2010 to completing in the May of 2011, I worked with the STEM school, one particular advisory group, Coach Panko's class, who for 2 years have been taking on our program. They're middle school. I brought the graphic novel and I gave that all to them, each student, and I said, I want you to take on the challenge of helping us write a children's book. We have one now that has been written for middle school. Now we want something that your younger brothers and sisters could read and you could tell them the story. So for an entire year, I was able to go in once a week and help with this class in the development of this book. And it is amazing. Right here out of Akron, Ohio, STEM school. And then over the summer, I had students, many of our other students come in and give up their time personally on their summer vacation to come and help illustrate and to write it. And I will tell you that is something I'm extraordinarily proud of. It's not complete yet, but what I realize is once the kids understand what took place, they get it. They get it. They want it to be told to others. They were very careful in explaining it, that it shouldn't be very graphic and very scary for their younger brothers and sisters. But in the same respect, it was a day that changed the world, certainly our world, the way we knew it. And so what do we do? How do we honor them? What was the lesson that the passengers and crew of Flight 93 left for us to honor and to be able to teach? And that's what they've done. It's extraordinary.
Aside from the children, you went to the event, the 93 Cents.
Yes.
What was the mood of everybody else there?
At the Flight 93 event we had in Akron, Ohio on September 8th, we had the parents of Todd Beamer, Mr. and Mrs. Beamer, as our keynote speaker. And that was just excellent, quite frankly. He gave the parents that lost their only son, the young man who had the battle cry, "Are you ready, guys? Let's roll." His message is great. It's thought-provoking. He reminds us that what his son and 39 other people did in less than an hour needs to be honored. And here we are 10 years later, and we don't have enough funds to build this. A few days later, on September 10th, we were at the dedication of the Flight 93 National Memorial. And I will say that one of the women who I most love lost her daughter on Flight 93, and she said it best. It's always bittersweet when I see her, but she said, it's the birth of the Flight 93 National Memorial today. It is the birthday of this park, and really all that we've worked for the past 10 years has begun to come to fruition, and for that there is great joy. There will never ever be anything that could heal the heart from the loss of our daughter, but today there is great joy of what happened.
So do you feel, looking toward the future, that you're receiving the outcome that you hoped for?
Yes, I think the memorial design is incredible. It's fabulous. I was very much a part of behind the scenes as part of the task force. So I know what the families wanted and what everyone wanted, and it is so well done. It is simple, it's beautiful. The walkway with the names reflects the flight path as it was coming down into crash position.
Yes.
And the first of 3 phases is complete, and it is very moving.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for being here and for sharing all of this information with us. And we have a little bit more for you coming up right after this break, so definitely keep it right here on Moving Forward.